Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to another episode of the Bright Now podcast. We're recording this on Tuesday, March 26th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. My name is Dash, and I am the Shane Gillis to my Bill Burr. He's so icy, it'll make you say, Burr! TJ, how are you doing this evening, brother, and what are we talking about?
Doing good, man. Doing good personally. I don't know about as NBA-wise. I'm not doing great right now, especially after last night's loss. But today, got another great Tuesday tidbits for you guys. Going to be breaking down just the last 4 Suns games since we had last talked, including a little bit of a record prediction for how we think the Suns are going to close out this year. And then we're going to finish it off talking about what we think would be the most interesting first-round playoff matchups in both conferences. So, since we last spoke, Suns have had 4 games. We've won 3 of our last 4, which I thought, if you had told me that before, when we last recorded, I thought I would be happy. But just the way we blow that last one to the Spurs last night. So, we'd gone on and beat the Sixers, beat the Hawks, beat the Spurs once with Wemby. In the last 10 games, we've won 6 of them. You know, other wins against Toronto, Cleveland, and Charlotte. So, nothing spectacular, but nothing to be mad at. And then it all just kind of comes to a head last night against the Victor Wembanyama-less San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was, for me, TJ, and I know we're going to go through these next couple games, but in terms of a championship, I'll say it right here for the first time, folks. All hope is gone after the 104-102 win. And I know it's just a one-game thing, but, TJ, like you said, the factors and just how we did it was absolutely just heartbreaking. Sluggish from start to finish. We come out the game walking everywhere, offensively and defensively. I know we'll talk about the later half of the game more, but man, they just got 2 feet in the paint at will. I mean, from beginning to end. And just like the thing that stood out to me most, TJ, was like when we compare ourselves to championship level team. Let's take last year's team for example. It's basically the same core around them, but I know we give Jokic a lot of credit. But that team is dialed the fuck in, TJ. I mean, you see guys like KCP sprinting everywhere on the floor. Jamal Murray is extremely active on both ends of the court. Aaron Gordon is cutting hard. I mean, that's his best attribute damn near. Or if you want to go ahead and talk about his screen settings, also extremely underrated, or guarding the best forward on the team every night. And you just don't see that with this Phoenix team. It doesn't feel like we got that guy to go out there and shut somebody down. We don't have someone being super active. Love the Grayson Allen minutes, but we even got him just sitting around. We got Bradley Beal just sitting around a lot of these possessions. I mean, take it from here. What did you see?
Yeah, it's the same symptoms of like those Harden Rockets teams, and you know, still kind of to be determined on Luka and Dallas. But when most of the guys on your offense are just standing, that's not a very good offense. And like you could take screenshots, a million screenshots from last night's game of us on offense and on defense, frankly, just standing like straight up. And that was one of like my pet peeves as like a young basketball player, like playing, you know, like YMCA ball type stuff, is when you're just getting like, oh, get in a stance. Like, why are you just standing up? You got to be in an athletic position. But you realize, like, no, that's actually how you're more active and more engaged and ready to go do something else instead of having to like load and take off. And that's just kind of basketball 101 stuff that we're just completely missing. You know, in that fourth quarter against the Spurs, we only take 2 free throw attempts, and they came at the very end of the game on a Booker drive. And so you think, like, oh, maybe it was a bad whistle. I don't know. I watched the fourth quarter. I didn't think it was necessarily an unfair whistle either, because we go 5 for 6 at the rim, but we take 16 jump shots and make 6 of them. So 83% at the rim, 37% outside of it. And that's just not a winning recipe. There's too much variance that comes into that. That's how you can lose to a team like the Spurs without their best player. And like to your point about Denver, they don't shoot a lot of threes and jumpers. They do get in the paint. They score a lot out of their offensive like schemes and play art, basically, rather than what we do is where we're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what happens. We're just playing like a pickup team at the end of the day. And that's how the game finished. Like, our final possession was a disgrace. Like, first, KD starts getting double teamed by Eric Gordon's guy. Instead of him crashing or coming into the high post where nobody's there, or even like kind of curling up, doing anything, he just kind of half jog walks to the other block and lets Royce O'Neal's man guard 2 people at the same time effectively. And then finally, we get the swing and and then Booker rotates, can't get a shot off. We kick it, and then it was just a gross possession after that, after the offensive rebound, right?
Yeah, and it just goes to a total lack of effort, and I think this goes simultaneously to what you're talking about right now, TJ. And I didn't think I would get to this point officially. Like I said, it might be an overreaction, but this is going off of what you're saying. I think I'm falling into the I don't want Frank Vogel as the coach anymore side of the Suns fan. I know. I know you want the consistency. I know we've talked about it before, but he's just not doing a great job at getting his guys engaged. Because like I said, it goes back to the effort portion of it all. And the X's and O's that you just said at the end. I mean, let's go to the effort. Start at the beginning of the game.
And we had a timeout. There's
yes.
the shot clock, we're like a half second behind the shot clock. And I know it's always, you want to say, oh, let's trust our guys. We got a lot of talent. Let's fucking draw something up, please, because we need this win and we're down 2 against a really shitty team. Clearly, you guys don't have it taken care of because we're down 2 in the first place.
Yeah,
so,
100%. No, and just to keep on going with that, I mean, this Phoenix squad, we see them just allowing rebounds to hit the floor, and as much as the next basketball player, any guy who's played official, organized basketball, that is the biggest no-no, right, in terms of what you want your team to doing, letting rebounds hit the floor multiple times. That happened throughout that game, and it's just a huge red flag. I mean, and then you go back to a spot here that really stuck out to me, a huge Bradley Beal block on Devin Vassell that led to a KD 3, a huge play, shifts momentum. It should be at that point, takes us to being up 9 at that point. Then we foul 4 times in 2 minutes, not being able to play a lick of defense, and we can't pull away from a bummy-ass Spurs team. We made Devin Vassell look like an all-NBA first-team player out there, continuously getting to the rack as much as he wanted, hitting jumpers over our guys. And it's just, like I said, layups were happening, TJ. Eddie Johnson was on the call saying, holy shit, let's make them shoot jumpers. If they're going to beat us off of jumpers, tip our hat to us. I know Jeremy Sohan hit that 3 at the end to just put the nail in the coffin, but I mean, golly, every time it's too easy.
Yeah, it really is just way too easy. We made Jeremy Sohan look like he could play point guard. That's probably why Popovich thought that shit. It was after those first 2 Suns games, whatever. I think I unplugged my shit. Sorry, technical difficulties, fellas. Anywho, yeah, you make him look like a fucking point guard. And you talk about that final 3. Maybe one of the most simple defensive coverages that you can get in basketball. With Royce O'Neal, it's a small stunt to the middle so he doesn't drive, and you just recover to the 3-point shooter, or you inch a little closer to the 3-point shooter because you also are supposed to have help at the rim, and you're just kind of just jab at him. You don't need to be all the way over there and then to give up a wide open 3. I need to look up. Let me see what Jeremy Sohan's 3-point percentage is before I totally disparage him.
Well, he was 1 for 7 tonight. He hit that one at the end right there.
Damn, he actually shoots 43% from 3. No, never mind. He shoots 43% from the field. He's a 30% 3-point shooter.
Oh my god. But it just goes back into how do we let them into that position? Like we have to help so hard off of a Devin Vassell who got absolutely hot in that 3rd and 4th quarter. I mean, it shouldn't even happen. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be that way.
Well, when it just sucks when Booker doesn't play defense either. Like that doesn't help.
Yeah. No, I hear you. He was absolutely slicing and dicing, and I mean, but also TJ, a lot of those points in the 4th quarter came from guys who were not Devin Booker or Kevin Durant guarding them. I mean, a lot of those came from some trash ass buckets from other guys.
And Booker, I mean, went off in the quarter, had 18 in the 4th, like 36 for the whole game. So he was absolutely hooping, and I really shouldn't I get kind of, it is hard to keep these guys in front in a one-on-one situation, but either way, yeah, KD finished with 29. He only has 5 in the 4th. It's just it's kind of a failure of leadership. Like you talk about getting rid of Vogel. The most annoying part about him for me is this team hasn't improved since the start of the season in any of those aspects. Everything just looks the exact same. Our offense looks the same. Our mistakes look the same. I just don't know what he tries to improve about this team. He just acts like, it's just all going to fall together magically once April comes around.
And how aggravating is it for guys like us who talk about the Suns? It's like I'm not trying to bore our viewers. You're like, what am I going to say? We lost a turnover battle again, 14-7.
Yes,
if
this
you've
is
been keeping
all
up
we
with the
can
pods,
talk about.
You've heard this over and over. It's sickening for us too, guys. Like I'm telling you right now, it's sickening for us. I promise you.
And for being like a good team too, like we still have a chance. We're over 500, like guaranteed for the season with 42 wins. I don't imagine us losing out the rest of the way. But it's just as far as like a championship level team, that's just not who we are.
Yeah. No, it hurts, and I kind of wanted to ask you. This could go very long, but if we can just try to keep it short, I kind of feel like a lot of this also goes back to TJ, and this is going back. I understand we're in a crunch situation, but the Bradley Beal contract, unfortunately, it's just looking worse and worse as a bad decision. And I was much of a trade CP3 guy as a Knicks person, but
I wasn't.
No,
I didn't like the trade from the jump. I just want to say that. The first time I heard about it, I didn't like it.
TJ, he's not even averaging 20 points a game, and I understand you're the third option on a team with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But, man, we need you. You're making $45 million a year. Can we get you out there getting some buckets, please? And he hurt his hand at the end of the game again. He's fucking made out of fiberglass, bro.
And late in the fourth as well, he had one drive to the basket where he misses the layup and obviously wanted the foul call, but apparently hasn't been paying attention to the league in the last 2 weeks and doesn't realize that. And he spends more time clapping and laying on his back than he is, and we give up a bucket the other way. We had another possession late where Bradley Beal's supposed to be guarding Cedi Osman, and he just walks into a three because he's not guarding him. He's not paying attention. It's like his head's not screwed on for these games. And it might probably make sense why the Wizards were so fucking ass all those years. It starts from the top. Another thing that's pissing me off, why even sign Isaiah Thomas?
Yeah.
So he can squat in front of the bench in crunch time. Did you see that shit? What are you doing, dude? I want to take him seriously as a grown man and an athlete, but bro, come on. You just need all that attention. You just need the camera on you for that period. Stand on the fucking side. You're not going in, bro.
He's they could really use a scoring punch right now, and I can do that for us.
Yeah, I'm oh my god. Yeah,
so
that part's
no
ridiculous.
IT. We need some defense, and you do not bring that.
Yes,
sorry,
we
bro.
need some defense and a point guard that will, distribute the ball.
Yeah.
Not think that it's 2018.
Yeah, we got enough scorers. So TJ, I think that allows us to transition into just looking at more of a future aspect these next couple weeks. Last time we talked, I think it was 3 weeks left in the regular season.
Yeah. So I think, or no, it's 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today is when the play-in game starts. So we can call that the official start.
Which we'll probably be playing in.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I guess a couple of stats before we dive into this last part. So on the season, we're 20-19 against teams 500 or better. So we're basically splitting games against the good teams. One stat that I think you'll enjoy is that we are 15-5 when we have fewer turnovers than the other team. Wow. And 27-25 in the other games. So I just want to. This is what the team that we're dealing with. Let's remind ourselves who the Suns are before we start just chalking off things as wins. Up first, we got at Denver. We're an underdog in that one. We're 1-1 on the season. I don't think it's unfair to chalk that up as a loss.
Yeah, and I know we won last time without Devin Booker, but I mean this team is really finding their foothold in the Western Conference. I think they're probably going to get us here. Exactly.
Next, then we follow that up with at OKC. We're going to be an underdog again, for certain, and we're 0-2 against them this season. So not a great place either. I don't want to say, hey, we could steal one, but if we're really just planning it out, those are 2 losses to start.
Where are you putting your money at as an NBA fan?
Exactly.
Where are you putting your money? Yeah.
Exactly. And so next, we got at New Orleans. Probably an underdog in that one on the road. We're close to the Pelicans, I think, but we're 1-0 against them. I'll give us a W in that scenario.
I will too, just with the Brandon Ingram situation and everything like that. I think we could pull out a W there.
Exactly. So we're 1-2 down the stretch. Then we got versus Cleveland. This one is the one where it could go either way from a gambling perspective. Maybe we're 1.5 point favorites. We could be an underdog the other way. But I'd still like to think we could take care of Cleveland at home.
I would say so. So fourth game in, we're looking at it 2-2 at this point.
So that feels good. Six to finish it. Then now we're up against Minnesota at home. Tough one. Probably, if they're really gearing up for a playoff run, that's probably a loss.
Yeah, and we're underdogs. Just to clarify, we're
underdogs in there. Absolutely. Then we got New Orleans again at home this time. Let's take two against. We need to take two against New Orleans, specifically because it swings the standings in our favor in such a good way. Because you get it, two up in both columns, so that would be huge to take away two, and I think we'd be favored in that game, at least by a little bit.
Okay, so 3-3 at this point.
Now we got a home and away versus the Clippers.
Okay, well this could be a real swing one right here, TJ. Let's talk about this one just for a second. We've seen the Clippers kind of be slightly deteriorating.
They've been
in the
limping.
Last couple weeks.
They're limping into the playoffs for sure. They're not
definitely limping.
That Paul George quote is really weird.
Which one? Which one?
Where he's saying we don't have an identity.
Oh yeah,
that one. Like, what do you guys? Didn't they go like 21-3 over a stretch this season or something ridiculous? And he's talking about now we don't know who we are.
Haven't you and been on the same team for like 4 years now?
Exactly. Like, come on, dude. And how long has Ty Lue been coaching?
Yeah.
Like long enough, brother. Long enough. So I'm with you there. I would say reasonably, 1-1 against the Clippers.
Let's
there.
Go 1-1.
2-0 could be crazy. Like that's pie in the sky dreaming though.
It is.
Then we got at Sacramento. Probably an underdog, depending on how they're looking in those few games. But just because they're at home, I know the home team does get a little bit of a bump. And we're 2-2 against them on the year so far. Going back, we are 0-2 against the Clippers so far.
We are manhandled, to clarify for everybody who didn't watch those games. Got manhandled.
Yeah. So then we got Sacramento, and we finished the last game of the season's at Minnesota, which could work if Minnesota's seeding has already been decided, which it very well could be. Like, they maybe are resting guys, but who knows? Like, we can't beat the Spurs team. We can't beat the Wolves bench guy. Like, I'm not chalking that up as a W automatically.
Yeah.
But that puts us in, that puts us at about 4-6 on the season if we drop those last three games at LA, at Sacramento, at Minnesota. And we're really only favored in two of them.
So we could finish with a 46 win season?
Yeah, that would be 46 wins.
And that it's hard to even say with this unpredictable Suns team because you're like, that's worst case scenario. But is that worst case scenario? Is there a timeline where? Yeah,
there's a timeline where it's 2-8, but there is a timeline where it's 8-2.
Yeah.
Because 8-2 gets you to 50 wins. That could realistically, especially with wins, beating the Kings and beating the Pelicans twice are the most important. And obviously the Clippers would be huge, but I'm just thinking those three are the biggest deal.
And if we can beat the Clippers, I mean, man, like it just again goes back into the seeding position. Clippers have been falling off.
Yeah,
so close.
We could jump up to 4. We could definitely jump off to 4 because like I guess the point is we're in control of our own destiny. We don't need a bunch of other shit to happen to get out of the play-in, but we're gonna need to win games that Vegas doesn't think we're gonna win.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if you had to put your money on it, where do you think the seeding is going to finish for the Suns?
Bro, 8.
Yeah.
We probably because if we do go 4-6 to finish it, like you said, 46 wins. The Clippers are already at 44. The Kings and Dallas. It obviously depends on so many outside factors, but this doesn't seem like a season where 46 is going to be enough to avoid the play-in.
So I'm saying, TJ, and we've talked about it before, this is one of the harder schedules. It's not like the Dallas Mavericks are going to be playing this crazy stretch where they're playing Boston 2 times and then they're playing fucking the Nuggets. Yeah. Like they got they got the Hornets coming up next still. Like they got some of those games. We don't really have any of those left.
No, we literally every team that we're going to play has a better record than us as of right now.
Yeah.
And the closest is the Kings with their 1 game up in the loss column. Yeah. So it's bad news, man.
Bad news Bears. All right. Well, let's go ahead and transition to a more league-wide perspective. And me and TJ want to talk about the best first-round playoff matchups. And TJ, do you want to start in the East or should we go West first?
Let's start with the East. Let's bring it
Okay.
home with the West.
Going with the East, I'm going to be talking about your hometown, the one you converted to, got your citizenship over there in Atlanta versus the Boston Celtics over there. And, yes. I know that's not exactly what we talked about before of what I was thinking, but the more I thought about it, and especially after last night with Trae Young coming back, and even last year you saw the Atlanta steal 2 games away from the Celtics, I think it could be a good team to go ahead and go against. Just in terms of their offensive firepower, I know they got one of the best. They have, what is it, the best defense? Oh, second best defense, the Boston Celtics behind the Timberwolves. And this team can just go ahead and shoot the shit out of the ball. Trae Young has shown that he can go ahead and steal a few games for them. Just a team that'll make it hard for him. And
especially because, you think about the Celtics, they shoot a bunch of threes too. It's another high variance situation where, Trae Young could just go on the craziest heater of his life and actually beat him if things fall into place the right way. So no, I went a different way with that matchup. I went with the obvious pick. I wanted Boston versus Miami.
Yeah, I get it.
I just think, with the history there, going back to the LeBron era and even, before that, it's got some history there, some real bad blood, and it would just be, a great test for Boston in the first round. Let's just see, is Jimmy Butler going to do this all again? Let's see how much the Celtics have improved from before. Is Drew Holiday really going to be the difference maker? That's where I thought that would be the most interesting. And I did, truth be told, I had the Hawks and the Bulls both out. I went with the top 8 as now. I don't see the Bulls or the Hawks getting it done in the play, especially if Embiid comes back.
I just don't think Embiid is going to come back, and I don't think that he's going to be beneficial. I kind of had them out of the race just because of that fact alone. And these last 10 games are going to be huge for Philly, and they have not shown that they can win games. I mean, we could triple team Tyrese Maxey. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the reports have been started to creep out. Embiid's already back to practicing. He's, the play is 3 weeks from now. So
I'm just nervous, bro. You're really going to send out a 70%?
I think you have to. So I think the way you're so the logic behind that is saying, well, we just need to gear up for next year. My bigger concern is, hey, this dude gets hurt all the fucking time anyway. When we do try to manage this, we can't waste a playoff run with having this guy on our team. We can't, Daryl Morey can't afford that, right? He needs this. So that's why I think they would be even more likely to play him because, shit, how many more of these do we have left?
Okay, no, I get it. So you got Giannis versus Embiid then in that first round?
Yep. That's my 2-7 that I wanted. Giannis and Dame, Embiid and Maxey. You also get the secondary storylines of Doc Rivers and Pat Beverly, right? So I think that would just be super juicy from a first week in the playoff standpoint. I think that would be. I just think that would be perfect.
Okay, no, I like that one a lot. I think, like I said, I just think that's where we have the distinct difference of Joel coming back. I really just don't have faith that he's going to fully come back. And it's just, like you said, I do understand your reasoning, though. Motherfucker, you get hurt every year. Does it even matter if we go and try to save you? Get your ass over here. Exactly. We're going to play you 70, 80%. We just need you to ball out. And we haven't seen Joel do it yet. And I think that a lot of those pressures might even be leaning in your favor just to have him in that mindset I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I just hope it doesn't lead to a more harsher long-term injury at the end of the day.
Definitely.
But in my direction, I went with the rematch from last year, Bucks versus Heat. I just think that there's a little bit of an edginess here, especially with Giannis wanting to come back and just make a point proven. And then also give that Miami Heat team, I want to say false confidence, but I mean, it works sometimes. It definitely works sometimes with the underdog mentality that they continue to show over and over. I would just like to see them go back at it, see an absolute bloodbath. There's definitely going to be some heated tensions there already. Expect a few elbows being thrown, a few charges being taken. So I'd be excited to see that too. Who do you have in that next? What you say?
So I guess I had Bucks Sixers here with assuming Embiid is active. Yeah. If Embiid's not going to play, I'm definitely with you that it would be more interesting. Boston, Atlanta. Milwaukee, Atlanta would not be interesting at all.
No,
I don't think.
Hate that. I would hate that.
But yeah, so I agree with you the way you put it. My next one, the 3-6 matchup, this is one of my bigger reaches, and it's kind of planning on a team's dropping down a bit. And I went with the 3-seeded Cavs versus the Knicks as a 6 seed. I just want to run it back from last year. Let's see what happens this time. Mitchell versus Brunson is theoretically a really great matchup. like I said, the Knicks are at 4 right now, so they would have to slide, and the Magic and Pacers would have to really kick shit into gear. But I really did it so my last matchup could be what I wanted. But so who was your 3-6?
Yeah, you said Knicks versus Cavs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had them at so not 3-6. Was it 4-5?
Ah, gotcha.
4-5,
okay.
4-5 Cavs Knicks. So I mean we're in the same boat here. That's the playoff matchup that I'm trying to see. So you have the Cavs at home, or you're saying the Knicks would be home?
I had the Cavs at home.
Okay, yeah,
and then,
yeah.
So yeah, this is the Knicks drop and the Magic and Pacers, picks them up down the stretch. But I think it's because we both really want to see the Magic versus the Pacers. Just like immovable object versus unstoppable force, like the two sides of the same coin as far as those young teams go. I just think that would be awesome.
Yes, bro, and that's what I'm saying. So I had a little bit more faith. This was in my reaching aspect was Orlando, and it's not even like a crazy reach right now at this point of the season, but Orlando could end up at that 3rd seed, and I can definitely see Indiana staying at that 6th spot. So, I mean, we're definitely still on the same page. Love to see it, just like you said, these young playoff teams going ahead and making that jump, making some real noise in the playoffs finally after we wanted to see both of these teams. Both of us were big Paolo guys last year, big Franz guys, and it feels like the Magic have just totally elevated everybody else. I mean, Jonathan Isaac is looking absurd on defense. Jalen Suggs is looking like an all-defensive team player this year. Love to see from both of those teams. Like you said, Halliburton's finally finding his shot back after shooting 16% from 3 like the past 2 weeks. So I love this matchup.
No, and the other cool part about it is like we're guaranteed for one of those young guys to like really like show themselves in the playoffs. Like either Paolo or Halliburton's going to get their first playoff series win, and I just think that's another really cool wrinkle in it all to really see who could cement themselves moving forward.
Because how sick would that be? I mean, I think Paolo's 22 and Halliburton's 24. Like those are young guys finally making their marks in the playoffs, and like you said, they get that first monkey off the back. Because we've seen guys like Tracy McGrady never been able, and I'm not comparing these guys to Tracy McGrady yet, but just haven't been able to get that monkey off of their back in terms of getting that first playoff win. And they definitely got the teams to do it. I mean, I know you're not a big Pascal Siakam guy, but he's got not a big Pascal Siakam guy, but you're not a believer in what he is to this team.
Yeah.
But I do think that his experience in the playoffs, having that chip under his belt, and just even when he was in those 6 seed, 7 seed years, still going ahead and making an impact in the postseason. So really excited. Let's just touch on the Cavs and Knicks a little bit one more time, just because that's also who I want to go in against each other. But I would just love to see those two brute force-ish teams. I mean, in different ways. Like they got like the guards in Cleveland that are very brute force in terms of like getting their buckets whatever way possible. And then you got like a lot of the bigs. I'm just really nervous for the Julius Randle aspect of this. It's still unclear as to when he's going to be back with his shoulder injury. So I mean, that'd be a huge blow. I know we're not doing this for every team, but who would you take in a series? Julius Randle-less Knicks versus a fully healthy Cavs?
You got to go Cavs, right?
Unless so, right?
It depends on how much you believe in Mobley and Allen on the floor at the same time, though. I'm a little bit still leaning like, hey, it could still maybe work out. I'm a little optimistic there. So I would probably go with the Cavs in that scenario, though.
Hell yeah. No, I would have to go. And like I said, if it wasn't, at the end of the day, you got to make a move. I mean, whether that be getting Donovan Mitchell out of there or, like I said, if Evan Mobley still got a lot of, juice left out in the market, people are looking for him, maybe go for him. I just think they like Jared Allen a lot. And I know, if you were to say Jared Allen or Evan Mobley's rookie year, that's a no-brainer. You're like, I love the upside on this guy. But, man, it seemed like at points that it's not really working with Evan Mobley. But anyway, let's go ahead and move over to the West. And in my first matchup, TJ, I got Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns, the 1 versus the 8 seed right here. And I've told you before, TJ, if we can get over the hump with Denver, that just means that we found some lightning in a bottle. Might as well just get it out the way immediately. I mean, I don't really want to dilly-dally and just fake win a playoff series, go to Game 7 and just get mollywopped by Denver. Let's go ahead and make it competitive while we got our guys healthy. Let's see how it goes. What do you think about that?
So I definitely see where you're coming from. That would be a good one. I had a different matchup here. I think Denver would be more exciting. It would be more exciting to see them play Dallas, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I just think Luka versus Jokic would be like really cool, especially like how like kind of friendly they are with each other. Like that'd be cool to see how intense that would actually end up getting. If Kyrie and Luka are rolling, they're a team that could potentially test them. The size, you're putting a lot on Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford's shoulders, but nobody else can stop Jokic anyway, so maybe they could just match him on points. I Obviously, right now Dallas is the 7 seed, so I have some movement. The Suns will come up eventually. I'm maybe being a little optimistic with them, but that's why I ended up with Denver versus Dallas.
I like that one a lot. Like I said, it's the foreign powers going against each other. Probably the 2 best Europeans in the league right now. I mean, actually, Giannis just depends on where you put him. But
you could say that Luka and Jokic are the 2 best players in the league right now, though.
Yeah.
So I would still put Giannis. I would still have Giannis too, but you can't go wrong.
No, you're 100% right. I would love that too. Don't get me wrong. So I mean, I guess kind of going off to your next point right here, I do think that the Minnesota Timberwolves will finish as the 2nd seed and go against the 7th seeded Dallas Mavericks. Just as you talked about, these are some guys right here that are looking. I'm looking at this from more of like a face of the NBA perspective, because when Luka Doncic was a rookie and setting crazy records, absolutely obliterating people, finishing 4th in MVP voting his sophomore year, a lot of people kind of had him not penciled in but penned in as being the next face of the league. And now you got a guy like Anthony Edwards coming in and just being an absolute fan favorite, coming out here dominating on a top seeded team. I would like to see them go off against each other. The one of the best American young players going against one of the best young European players in the entire league. I would personally love to see something like that, and I think it would be a stamp and mean something at the end of the day. Both guys like to talk shit from Ant to Luka, so I mean, it sounds like primetime TV to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely with you. I think that the Thunder are going to finish 2nd. That's where I ended up going here. But no, I think the Ant versus Luka part, and Ant would actually guard Luka, and maybe Jaden McDaniel. But for long periods, Ant would be on him for sure. And so that would just be, amazing. My 2-7, I went with Oklahoma City, like I said, versus the Sacramento Kings. And I think based on the way your standings are followed up, I feel like that might be your 3-6.
Yeah. Yeah,
but I think it's just purely based on the matchup. Like, it's 2 undersized teams with a chance to win their first series in a pretty long time. And it's just, Sacramento got screwed last year by a 50-point Steph game, right? OKC hadn't been around, but everyone's talking about they're so undersized. Can they survive? And so this kind of gives both the teams a chance to compete against a similarly built team. And so that's why I think that matchup would just be phenomenal.
No, I think it's an awesome matchup. Like you said, and not just facing off in a similarity-based team, but like you said, a similarly-based narrative in a sense. I mean, both of these teams are known to have those different styles of play. I mean, obviously you got Sabonis, but he's 6'10" at the center position. He's a hub, plays a lot different than how they hub around with SGA. But, I mean, there's a lot of great young talented pieces on both of these teams, from Jalen Williams on one side to you're looking at 26-year-old Malik Monk just absolutely exploding, looking like 6th man of the year. You got De'Aaron Fox out there going against SGA. It's just going to be an absolute blast. A lot of talented position from both sides at each position. You know what I'm saying? From point guard to center, it's going to be a great matchup. Can't wait to see it. And, I mean, who would you take in this series right here? You'd have to take OKC, right?
Yeah, I would have to, just because I'm kind of a Thunder fan anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have to rock with them. I mean, I think SGA would be the best player on the floor.
Hell yeah! No, I respect it. So since we had the similar one right there, what was your 3 and 6?
This is my reach. It's Minnesota versus Phoenix.
Oh.
So this is the world, the universe where we go 8-2 down the stretch and then climb up the standings. But I just I like where the matchups go. It's just a huge test for both sides. Obviously for Phoenix going up against that defense, and Minnesota having to stop a really talented group and really prove if Ant and McDaniels and Gobert can really anchor a championship level defense. It could also be potentially a huge passing of the torch moment if Ant does go off and Minnesota ends up getting the win, because that it would be hard for anybody to try to say Devin Booker's the best shooting guard in the league, whether you believe it or not. I would be fighting for it still. I think Booker's still just better than Ant at today's level, but that's going to be the narrative if he takes care of business against us. I think the Suns have a real shot to win that series still.
Yeah.
The Minnesota's offense is not very good. We're going to see where Karl Anthony Towns is going to be at that time. But we could potentially, play Rudy off the floor like they've done in every other playoff series with him. We're sending 2 guys at Ant every chance we get and let the chips fall where they may.
Ooh, I love it. I think that there's a universe where we absolutely win that series, like you said, with a 60% Karl Anthony Towns being out there on the floor and us able to exploit that with Kevin Durant playing that 4 position. I mean, I don't know who's going to stop him. Obviously, going to throw on McDaniels onto KD at points in the game, but I think we can get Cat involved in that pick and roll scenario. Maybe if we can get Rudy going when we have Bobo in there. I know obviously we're going to play a lot of Nurkic minutes, but just finding ways to stretch out that defense.
Maybe we don't.
Yeah, maybe we don't. We're
don't.
good at making tough shots. We make it a lot tougher than we need to, and with all that rim protection, it's actually going to be in our favor because we're already used to taking a shit ton of jump shots.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really might fare well for us in the Phoenix Suns. I like that pick. So then going with my last pick right here, it's the Pelicans versus the Clippers.
Yeah.
Is that the same for you?
Yeah, same thing.
Pelicans versus Clippers. Not a lot to say here. I mean, it's going to be big for the Clippers if they lose. It won't be the biggest end of the world if the Pelicans lose, though. I feel like a lot of pressure is one-sided in this series.
That's what. I kind of disagree. Like, I don't totally disagree. There's definitely more pressure on the Clippers just being like older.
Yeah.
But both teams are still in a very much like, all right, prove it space.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're right.
You both have had all the hype in the world the last 3 seasons. We've never seen it come to fruition in any meaningful way. And now, when you guys are actually competing at a high level, going to be the 4 or 5 seeds here, like, let's prove it. Injuries would hurt this one. Both teams are just plagued by that. But, like, everybody healthy, I think that would just be a phenomenal series just in terms of their size and makeup of each roster. Like, both really long teams that's going to have a high level of basketball.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it. I think Zion could pose pressure for that team in ways potentially. We'll see. I mean, obviously we've seen Paul George and Kawhi Leonard for stretches be one of the best defenders in the entire league. But
would they low key put, like, I'm trying to think of who they would have guard Zion. It's probably one of the it's probably Terrence Mann or whoever else.
Yeah.
But like, could they low key put Westbrook on him? Would you put Westbrook on Zion?
You kind of could. He's got the muscle ability to it and just like the stay in front ability. I mean,
I
Westbrook
think
will be huge for this.
I think that could, especially if they have Zion really trying to run the point. Like, hey, Westbrook, go get that motherfucker.
Get in his ass.
90 feet. Let's go. That could be big. That could be big.
Let's see how much weight you lost, Zion. Are you healthy right here?
No,
You're
for real.
Up. It'd be a huge testament to both teams right here. And just a quick point. I know Simmons kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's been interesting to see how valuable Westbrook really was to this team, right? Like him being on right here and them having this tough stretch.
Yeah, I never thought I would have said that. It's crazy that in 2024 I'm more pro Westbrook than Harden at this point. Yeah. And like, I was the biggest Harden stan on the planet. It's just, at a certain point you can't defend that shit anymore. Yeah. And I understand that. Unlike fucking Trump supporters, they don't know when to fucking quit.
You just gotta know when to stop, bro. You gotta know when to stop.
Anywho.
That's funny. All right. Well, we wrapped it up right here. We're about to hit that 40-minute mark. So, I mean, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Let us know who had the better list of playoff first-round matchups. I'm very interested to see who you guys thought. But, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much and have a phenomenal rest of your day.